Yeah.
Yeah.
And how cold did you get here?
26.
26. Okay.
Yeah, apparently, you just got the email. I think it went down to 29, like around midnight, and then gradually down to 26, and then
Yeah.
back up
Okay.
around 6 o'clock.
Was it down there very long?
I don't think so. We just got a graph here.
Oh,
I'm just checking it. I don't think it was at 26 too long.
No, not very long.
Yeah. So you were probably right on the edge there of being able to do some good, although fortunately we weren't further along. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still gonna be
Yeah.
touch and go probably, huh?
Well, the things that we sprayed it on were stone proof, and some of them were in full bloom.
Yeah.
Apricots, some of the plums that are in full bloom.
Yeah. Yeah, normally we can expect to get 3 to 5 degrees effect from KDL compared to an untreated tree, you know, weather conditions taken into consideration. A lot of variables, I guess, is what I'm saying, you know, depending on nutrient status of the tree and all those sorts of things. But so it sounds like we're right on the edge there, probably of being able to get that benefit.
I would think, yeah. What about stage of growth? Does it make any difference if it's just green or if it's bloom? Or?
Yeah, I mean, blooms, you know, are most susceptible, I think.
I mean, as far as efficacy of the material. Is
Oh.
more absorption, you got more leaf surface.
Yeah, definitely you do with more leaf surface, and soft tissue absorbs it quicker.
Yeah.
Right, but then of course the susceptibility to the damage changes too, you know, kind
Yeah,
of,
and more
it's a
surface
catch-22, you got one going this
Yeah.
way and one going that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, so, I think that we'll see some, effect, certainly. I'd expect to see some difference there between the treated and untreated, at least, in the same condition.
yeah.
But yeah, right on 26 is pushing it.
It is for those crops. Yeah, if those crops come through in good condition, I'll be impressed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, if they come through in good condition, I'll be impressed too.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I think we'll get some benefit from it for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we were talking, it's kind of interesting, but with that product, potassium is a product we usually think about using later in the cropping cycle because of when potassium is in demand. So, fortunately, if you have it here early enough that you need to use it for emergency situations like this, if you don't use it, at least there's still a very good use for it in the middle of the season when you're finishing the crop off, yeah.
How does it work? How does it combat cold temperature?
Well, nobody really knows truthfully what that answer is, but we speculate that it's just that we increase the concentration of that potassium in the cell, and it's a similar effect, an antifreeze almost like effect, like salt water freezes at a lower temperature. Likewise, if we can load that cell sap up with that potassium, it drops the freezing point of that cell sap. So that's our best speculation. Of course, there could be something totally different going on that we don't even start to understand, but yeah.
As far as timing goes, we applied it yesterday morning, about between 8 and 10 o'clock.
Okay, that's probably as good as you could get in that time frame.
So,
Yeah. We usually think 12 to 36 hours. The closer we can get that it's still warm enough, you know, to get some uptake and stuff, the better. But yeah, if you get it in that window, you're good.
yeah, so.
What was the wind like?
It was windy.
Yeah,
When we were putting it on, I don't know what it was, but it was definitely windy
Yeah.
yesterday morning. And it was cold.
yeah.
It was cold, because when we got done spraying, there was a couple times there we weren't done, but I had to change nozzles from one tree size to another. And I wasn't even thinking about it. I went to the back and there was ice on the back of the sprayer.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was that cold?
It was that cold.
Yeah.
Mike,
And I don't know, it got up to maybe 38 yesterday for a high, so.
Yeah. And you had the wind chill.
Absorption too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so that's gonna just slow everything down a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the downside, I guess, of it. You know, sometimes we get those deals where it's kind of really nice and balmy, and then sun goes down, full moon and all that stuff, and it drops like crazy, but it was just outright cold.
Yeah,
Yeah, here, so. Well,
it'll be interesting.
yeah, wish you the best, but it sounds like
Yeah,
you
thank
did
you.
all you could do.
That's what you gotta weigh the cost and what the potential benefits might be, and
Right.
Mother Nature and just kinda,
Right,
we felt like we had to do something,
yeah,
so we did that.
yeah, okay. Good. Well, I'll be anxious to hear.
You had a
I'm
lot
kinda-
out, didn't you? This should be a pretty good test. You had
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah,
material out.
Well, me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 pallet, 3 total pallets were sold,
Mhm.
and just getting into the 4th pallet, so.
Mhm.
How
So-
many gallons?
Oh, I don't know, 180 gallons on a pallet, so.
36 times.
So
36
pushing
cases
600
times
600
5.
acres then.
Yeah, 600
Yeah.
acres, yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that,
Yep, so.
it should be in some different
pretty-
temperature.
Probably a wide variety of conditions there.
Yeah.
Yep, so we should.
Was
we should
it all
be
pretty
good.
much put on yesterday?
Let's see, you guys got it in Saturday, so that would have been the earliest it could have possibly gone on.
Most guys are talking about Sunday to Monday sprays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sunday would have been the best day
Yep.
because it was warmer and less wind. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
would have been, very
Yeah, it was
good
just under 600 gallons went out.
Sunday.
Yeah,
So-
that's,
Yeah, so
significant.
get a good look.
So far, how far ahead can you spray?
Wouldn't want to push it over 36, and the thing is that if you get a very warm spell after the application, the plant starts to metabolize the potassium pretty quickly. So, although you can spray it right before the expected event in warm weather and still get the effect, but if you spray it, you have the event, then it goes back up to 65, 70, something like that for a day or two, and then another frost comes along. Those 2 warm days are gonna really dilute down the effect that you had from that first spray,
yeah.
just because it warmed up that much. So in one sense, you'd like it to be kind of active when you spray it to get it in the tissue, but then if you're gonna have a couple events, it's almost better that it never gets really warm in between them and metabolizes the potassium out of that tissue. Or you'd probably have to go back in and make another application. So,
See what happens.
see what happens.
Yep. Now, what about, what's the benefit for them having it in the fall?
Well, we had talked before about where you have the variety that's conducive to it, a post-harvest program can be pretty beneficial in getting the buds set up to go through winter in good condition, and also having some juice in the tank to come out of dormancy in the spring. And potassium would be an example of that. Zinc, magnesium, potassium, boron. And you know, it's just that you would start with a higher level of potassium in that bud early in the season from that post-harvest spray. But there are some varieties you grow here where there's not a leaf left on the tree in half decent shape.
After
harvest.
Yeah, and that depends on,
Yeah.
sometimes there's none at
None.
the end of harvest.
Yeah,
depending on the
exactly.
season.
So you do want, you know, a good leaf area to accept that after harvest spray. And some parts of the world, including here, you know, the later varieties just aren't set up for that very well.
So if they were able to do that, sorry, and then say there was a frost event in the spring, your threshold continues to rise. So, you know, like that 5 degrees that you have, it's on top of something even higher
Well,
would be theoretically the benefit.
yes, theoretically, the concentration that you start with when you spray your frost protection would already be at a slightly higher level than had you not done that. So,
What about pre-harvest? You know, Jeff was talking about something, potentially coloring the apples more or something.
oh yeah, and that's KDL, that's really the primary use for KDL, because we think that KDL, its primary role is really kind of manage water management in the plant. So we really normally wouldn't think of spraying foliar potassium on that plant if it's not deficient until your cover sprays, when you're starting to get into the stressful part of the summer. Every time the stomate on the leaf opens and closes, you know, to let water out, that requires potassium for those cells to open and close. And then once we get the color break and we have anthocyanins trying to raise the bricks level and the fruit, enhance maturity, that requires potassium. So normally we would not want to spray potassium early anywhere close to cell division in the fruit. We would focus on calcium during cell division to build a strong, thick cell wall while the cells are being divided there. And then hold the potassium off until after cell division. Now the fruit's starting to get bigger, expand the cells, elongate. That's where the potassium really comes into play.
Hey, Andy.
So that's KDL for you too, is that if you're just using it in a normal situation, we would think of KDL coming in there, you know, end of June, July, when we start to maybe, if you get some heat stress, something like that, and you want to try to keep the plant active a little bit longer into that heat stress, good potassium level would help that happen. And that's where it would really fit in. Or once you get the color break and you're trying to finish the crop off, Gala is something where you're really trying to push size, bring the color on.
How close to harvest?
Right up to harvest, you could go with it. Yep. And it's very soft. It's a soft form too, with the dextrolac complex around that potassium. So it's a way that we kind of coat it with a sugar molecule, really, and that's what the DL stands for.
Okay.
In KDL.
I'm wondering what the DL is.
Yeah. D's for dextrose and L's for lactose, two sugars that they complex around it, yeah.
And there's no impact as far as putting it into cold storage? And its effect in cold storage?
No. Really, the thing that's going to affect that more than anything is what can we do to pack more calcium into the cell walls of that fruit when we have the chance to do that, and then maintain it to harvest. And of course, if we misapply potassium though, when cell division is happening in the fruit, that can screw up
Yeah,
calcium being incorporated into those dividing cells. So if we wouldn't want to spray it really unless we had to for an emergency like that, because we're going to lose the whole crop to freezing or something. But once we get the bloom to 30 days post petal fall, no foliar potassium. So no 20, nothing with K in it if we can help it, or very, very low K, at least foliarly. And then 30 days after petal fall, then you could start to think about it, but you know, it's probably a little bit after that that you really start to get the benefit from it, I think. So.
alrighty.
Take a break real quick.